think, right, Chris?
Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you. I like your headshot.
wow.
That's good headshot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm driving back from daycare right now.
Oh, you're driving.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in my office in like 5 minutes. So I'll just be listening right now.
Okay. I have to leave at noon today.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we'll try to get going with some of this stuff. We have, our first item is to review last month's minutes. Anyone have comments about the minutes? Brian took the minutes, so it's, okay, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Can I make a comment first?
Oh, yes.
Rhonda, I hope you weren't jealous of Brian's notes. Those were extraordinary notes.
Yes, they were.
Brian.
You said to keep them briefer next time, and I will do that. Yeah. We went overboard.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I understand.
More reading than any of you needed to do.
It's easy to do when you can listen to the tape. Yeah.
I want to know when the audiobook is coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Point taken.
That
Okay.
to be a compliment.
Do we have to second that? Do we second the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chris and Chris. So a lot of these items on the agenda, Chris, were placed there by you, and I don't know what they mean.
Okay. If you could tell me the first one, I can start talking.
This is under Chair's report. The first one is a new meeting time.
Okay, great. So I continue to be in conversation with Janice about trying to move our meeting time because, with school starting, the 11 o'clock creates some conflicts for Danny, and we all talked about wanting to move to a different time. I'm trying to move it to either Wednesday at 4 o'clock or Thursday at 4 o'clock, but I've not confirmed that those slots are available yet. But that's where we're leaning towards. So it'd be second week of each month on either a Wednesday or Thursday at 4 o'clock. Does anybody have any particular objections to either of those times?
Except for the board meeting on Wednesday. Yeah. Is that always on Wednesday?
We have Curtis Island Lighthouse board meetings on Wednesday, but we usually go to Janice and see what's available and kind of work it out. So we're like every couple of months. So it's not a regular meeting. So I would go ahead and do what you need to do to.
Okay, we'll lean towards Thursday if that's available.
It's at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Okay, all right. And what was next?
The next item is member oath with Katrina Oakes.
Yes, thank you. So you should have each received a letter from Katrina asking you to come in and take the membership oath to officially be a member of the Resources Committee. And I went in and she said that I was the first person to do it because I'm such a goody two-shoes. So she just asked me to remind everybody to go in and do that in the town office. So that's just a gentle reminder.
Is this something new? No.
I didn't do it last year, but so I don't know.
No one's ever asked me.
Yeah.
I did it a couple
Hopefully
days ago.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And what's next?
The next is election table on November 5th.
Okay, so I wanted to have some presence for us to be able to do some advocacy at the, sorry, I'm parking. I'm home. I'll be joining you live in just a second, but I'll keep talking. I will have some presence at the, on the election on the 5th. And, there are rules about where you can be located if you are involved in one of the items on the ballot. And they said that we could not initially have a table on the inside where people are voting, but then they changed their mind and said that we could, as long as we were talking to people after they voted. So that's not ideal, but I still think we should take advantage of it because there can be further discussion about the historic preservation ordinance that will be showing up a year from now for their approval, so we can answer questions. So I'm going to be putting together a spreadsheet and hoping that people can take different shifts and we can cover the election day and have people there answering questions about what a historic preservation ordinance is. So that's something coming down the pike when we organize that. It's also my birthday, and I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than at an election table.
Will there be cake?
I'm sorry, what?
Will there be cake?
We'll try and make it happen. All right, here, I'm switching to my computer. This may take a second. This is gonna be fun. Sorry about this.
I don't know if we're going to do one or not. I'm feeling not.
This is awkward. Okay.
I think, Rhonda and Chris, as far as November 5th goes, you have to be careful not to do any electioneering or promotion of something that's on the ballot.
Right.
So even though you're after people vote, you can't talk about the issue that is presented. I think Katrina, whether she made that explicit or not, I think that's the way it goes.
So
well, when
can't
we,
be talking about what they have just discussed, but we could talk about.
Right, yeah.
when we had a table at one of the elections, it was sort of off to the side. People did walk up on their way in, but most of them stopped by on their way out. I don't know how you manage that. We weren't in the direct line of traffic. We were sort of off to the side.
That's the way the whole narrative is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And steer them around and then talk after the voting.
The Curtis Island Lighthouse Foundation had a table there at the last election, and we were the end table toward the door where most people come in, and that's a good location to be at. And I can't be here for the whole meeting today, but there's a big vote. There's a main bond. I think it's bond issue number 3 on the state ballot that is where the state is providing $10 million to communities for historic preservation. This is a brand new approach. And I would like to see this group maybe put a letter to the editor or something, because this is not CLG money. This is straight money that's going to go toward historic preservation. And I know from the Lighthouse Foundation point of view, we'll probably put a note encouraging people to vote yes on whatever it is, Proposition 3. And I don't have that in front of me, but it's a big vote. It'll probably pass, and we want to be kind of ready to go after it. Ken, do you know anything about that vote? Yeah. And there's just started to be some publicity about it. Pardon?
I saw something.
Yeah. Okay. So,
That
and
sounds
at
great.
the table, your table, we'd be glad to leave a few historic things that people can pick up if that's
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, about the island, yeah, too, if you want.
So what were your thoughts on the table, Chris? What should we be doing beforehand?
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to clarify, but what I wanted to do was to have information about what potentially could be in historic preservation ordinance and what a historic preservation ordinance is. So this would be after the fact of voting whether they want us to develop a historic preservation. So this would be answering questions about what conceivably could be on the ballot the following year in November, about the kinds of things that are in a historic preservation ordinance. So just general questions about what they are.
We had talked previously about the new space that's going to be used for disseminating news,
Yeah,
and talked about providing information to whoever comes in there on historic preservation.
yeah.
How is that going? I mean, is that going to be ready, or? will we-
I don't think that space will be active before November. If you've walked by there, they're still heavy duty in construction. So but I think that's more of a long term.
Okay, maybe we save this for our discussion on ongoing business.
Yeah.
The next item on your list, Chris, was Historic New England Summit, November 14th to 15th.
Yeah, so they have tabled a conversation about our budget. Now that the language for the article is on the warrant, at the next select board meeting, I'm going to return to talk about budget to get them to approve the dollars for us to be able to register for that event. So I've still not registered for that because I've not received approval for dollars. So Ken, that's just a heads up that at the next select board meeting, I'm going to return with asking for those dollars that you've already seen.
All right. Item E on your list is Harbor Park, Montgomery Dam, MRCAC.
Yeah, this kind of is a question for Ken. I assume he went to the MRCAC meeting that was last week. I was flying at the time, so I could not see it or watch it. But I know that one of the things that is on their agenda, there's been kind of a shakeup with how they are moving forward with the project, with the plan. Is that they've changed the timeline. They've also changed the administration of it. So I know the next step they're talking about is having an open house, which they've talked about, a day where citizens can kind of stroll through a presentation which they've described, where you can see the 3 different models and ask questions, and they have a whole plan for how that presentation will go. But they had not yet picked a date. I know they were targeting September, but the fact that they still haven't picked a date makes me think it won't be September. But I don't have an update on that. Do you have any information on that, Ken?
No, they still have not picked a date. It has been postponed indefinitely. It could, at the rate that they're moving, it could be after Christmas. I just don't know though.
Not to drill down too far on this because it's not really our purview, but why do you think things have slowed down so much? They had a pretty aggressive schedule for the ballot, and now it feels like things are kind of really being sidetracked, and I don't have any insight into that.
Well, they lost the support of FBE. The funding to have Bina Scortis's time, that money is pretty much exhausted, and so FBE cannot support the activities of the committee anymore. And so instead of FBE or Sophie Romana writing the agenda for the MRCAC, Audra, the town manager, will be stepping up and doing. It sounds like she will be setting the agenda for MRCAC. And so in this interim period, things are kind of in a gap time, and not much is happening. You're right about that, Chris.
Okay, well, we'll just be on standby. I'm gonna, try and go to every meeting I can, and,
At
See
the
what happens.
meeting, I was hoping that we would have a professional engineer pointing out leaks and the need for restructuring Montgomery Dam, but nobody was there to do that. So we had a tour of they drew the water down, which took surprisingly little time. They opened the gate and within like 20 minutes, the water was gone and we could walk down into the mud
wow.
in the pond there. And that's about all that happened, except for Audra's update at that meeting.
It's a little confusing to me about the technical work and how far that's gone. At meetings I've been, they haven't really, the engineering contractors haven't really been forthcoming on the design projects that they're supposed to have completed. So I think some of the delay has to do with the fact that they've got more work to do. And they were going to present 3 alternatives. The status quo supposedly, or they're calling that rebuild now of the dam, and then lowering the dam or removing the dam. And I think there's still some confusion on that, and they've got more data that they need and more work that needs to be done before they can be sure of how they're going to present to the public. They were going to do it in a charrette, which was going to involve the public, and they would vote on their preferences. And that turns out to be a pretty complicated sort of endeavor. And I don't think they're ready for that yet. They don't think they're ready for that yet.
Okay. So Ken, I know you said that you didn't have much news to report, but is there anything additionally you'd like to,
No, thanks, Chris. I don't have anything to report from the select board.
I have a question. Does anyone know what is being built down by the public landing it's close to the bell that's there? Do you know what that is?
Yes, Audra has hired Rockport Steel to build an aluminum. It was supposed to be a seasonal gangway. It's looking more and more like a permanent bridge, and that'll be a contentious matter about the schedule of it. But it is I think it's 65-foot long gangway to go from that footing. So they had to pour a footing on the public landing side. There is a place for it to land on the island, but that's what that is. I was just over there, and the bridge is not in place yet, but the footing has been poured in preparation for the bridge. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I thought it might be that, but I was a little surprised because I didn't think that was settled, that was going to be built.
Most of that is being funded by the Montgomery gift. And the Montgomery's understanding was that would be a temporary bridge that would be removed for roughly half the year. I think that's still questionable in terms of what the intentions of the town are. But that bridge is the purported purpose of it was to keep the island clean, keep the island cleared every year, and maintenance staff could use that bridge to cross over to the island to do their work.
Oh, so it's an access thing.
What's that? Well, they are that will happen. I guess the cleaning of the island will happen once that bridge gets installed. No, I think that's part of. Well, a lot of people would agree with you. Yeah.
Chris is not on mic.
Can you turn your mic on?
It doesn't go through the Parks Committee or anything. It seems to have sort of happened internally.
I thought that one time the select board talked about it or was presented to them, but I didn't think they ever voted on it.
The select board did not. You have a mic there. The select board has not seen the plans and did not vote on this bridge.
That's an historic resource, the island and all that, and it has to go through us.
You would think.
You would think so.
Perhaps it's something for a future agenda item.
I think.
I mean, if it were going to be made permanent, if that's the view of it, it would be in the domain of parks as well, it would seem to me, because it's adding to the town's inventory for park space.
But if they're pouring a concrete foundation, that's permanent.
Yeah.
Yes, the, on paper, they're calling it a seasonal bridge, but what they mean by seasonal is from spring till fall, rather than putting it up for the 2 weeks necessary to do the landscaping and then taking it down again. But that remains to be.
It's ridiculous. At low tide, you can walk over there. I've done it a number of times and clean it up.
Or when the water is drawn down, it's easy.
It's a $65,000 expense that could have been done for $5.
Could have been done for nothing. They're just scheduling the
Sure,
maintenance on
sure.
it at low tide.
Chris, has anyone mentioned this to you? Chris Frieden? Are you there? Oh. Chris, can you hear us? Are you on mute?
He's going into his house now.
We can't hear you.
PB Internal Medicine.
Is that, is he trying to fix that, or are you trying to fix that? Oh. Oh, boy, that's too bad. Sorry, Pat, we got talking and I forgot that Mike had to leave. It's okay. Okay. Chris, can you hear us? I don't think he
Can you
can.
hear any of us, Chris?
Here, no, I have no audio.
I've lost audio. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, is it us or is it him?
It's us.
Oh, okay.
It's telling me that the mics don't work, and I'm not sure.
Okay, whatever you think we need to do.
I think if we restart the Zoom, it might work.
Okay, okay.
Chris is the only one using it, so.
Hopefully he'll be back on if we restart. I'm sure it'll never happen before.
So, Ronnie, you mentioned a space that's being worked on, and I didn't know if you meant a web space or what did you mean by that?
What space? What do you mean?
I don't know what space you're referring to when you said there was space being worked on.
At the public landing?
No, previous to that. Does anybody?
I don't know what you mean. What were we talking about before that?
Assumed you meant web space, but then you referred to a physical.
Oh, you mean the community cafe that's going to go where the old bagel cafe?
reference
Oh,
was
okay.
to.
There's been talk about turning that into a community news dissemination place. Like the first floor will be coffee and news. So we had talked about having some display there regarding historic preservation.
Thank you, that was it.
Okay. But I guess they're not ready to really do that yet.
His message just said, sorry, folks, keep going and I'll catch up.
Oh, okay. All right. we'll keep going. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go in 30 minutes, but see how much we can get done. So Ken, you don't have anything to report to us today because you're
Nothing
next
to
on the
add,
list?
no. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding the ongoing business, which we're just talking about, historic preservation ordinance, I don't know if Chris made this list. I don't know if he had a warrant update. That is as far as what's going to appear on the ballot. We got an email from him describing what it will say. I don't know if anything has changed since then. But we do have to talk about public outreach, education, and advocacy because now is the time to start doing some public education, some announcements, perhaps article. I had written an article a month ago just because we had talked about it and it was on my mind, and I thought, well, I'm just going to write this down while I'm thinking about it. So that's a start, but we probably should figure out how we want to approach it. We have so many weeks until November 5th. And Brian, you've already started the Facebook page, which I think is great, and that might be an additional outlet for news announcements. So anything we can post there but I think we need an organized effort, not just posting, but, and we have a reporter who's willing to put our information out there. And I actually don't know what the status of the newspapers are now. They've merged. And, but I think Chris's reporter contact is ready and willing to write up some stuff. So any thoughts from any of you on how we want to do this? We only have so many weeks left.
Yeah, I think that a guest editorial or a guest column advocating for the vote in November would be perfectly appropriate and timely. And the sooner the better, because it's almost October already.
I know.
The newspapers, I think the new Mid-Coast Villager is coming out either this week or next, the very first issue, and it will be replacing all the other local newspapers,
Right.
including Free Press and Camden Herald.
You think it's this week or next?
Yes, it is.
Imminent, okay. Well, I have access to a talk that I gave to the planning board when we were getting ready for deconstruction. And I know this would be a downer article, but I think I could write up something about the houses that we've lost in the last 10 years.
Oh, that's a good one.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to go that way or not. It's something for the committee to think about, but there are a number of historic homes that have been demolished in the last 10 years.
You have,
That's the only thing I could offer, I think.
Side comments are the ones we've gained that we.
yeah, do you have a success or two that you could counterbalance to be an uplifting ending, say, or whatever?
Well, we could talk about, no, I'm not going to say that. Some replacements that have happened that haven't been all that savory.
Well,
This ordinance have made a difference in any of this research.
Yeah, I think it would.
well, my article kind of was making a brief case as to why we need this preservation ordinance. But we might want to take it, make an outline of how we want to approach it week by week and write something else about it. So we're always putting the information out there.
Mhm.
And how often will they publish the Villager?
It'll be weekly.
Weekly, yeah,
Right.
I think we should have something every week,
yeah.
if possible.
And maybe a different aspect of its importance.
Mhm.
I've been writing, I have a bunch of articles that I've semi-written, a couple nice paragraphs.
Are
I'll
they,
get back to work on those.
are they about Camden in particular or historic preservation in general?
More about preservation, but centered on Camden, really centered on mid-coast.
Maybe
Yeah.
could you like make a list where you give the beginning lines of each
Well,
one
yeah, I
or
could-
something? Or if you've got like 3 paragraphs, you know, you can rank them in order of the ones you've got more paragraphs on or something, you know? And then we could pick and choose.
Well, why don't you send to us, all of you, your particular area of interest? Like Pat, you talked about old houses, or a topic that you'd be willing to write 4 or 5 paragraphs on. I don't know how long it should be. An editorial is half a page. I mean, half a column. Just an editorial. How long do we need each of these installments to be?
Well, more chance people will read it if it's shorter.
If it's short,
Yeah.
short and to the point. Just give them the facts.
Mine are mostly an architect's view of working within.
Yeah, well, that's valuable. And I'm sure people can learn something from that. So how about you send the committee your ideas about something you'd like to write about historic preservation, and then we'll just go from there. And you were going to say something, Brian?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've set up the Facebook page for the committee and also the Instagram page for the committee. And so maybe with that, it would become more frequent, so I could post every 2 or 3 days from now until the vote.
Okay.
And but I need help from all of you with photos, and also because especially Instagram, like there's no point of any text that isn't accompanied by a photo.
Yeah.
So everything has to have a photo. And Facebook, for people to pay attention, it should come with a photo too. And I've got some photos. I got some photos from Chris. I've taken some of my own, but it'd be great if you could send me your photos for that. And also another idea is maybe I could interview you, because I'm kind of new to this, and what the main reasons for, what the pros and cons are. In other words, why we want an ordinance and what we anticipate are the main objections to the ordinance. Any quotes I can use, because it's brief, right? And Facebook and Instagram, we're just, talking about like a longish caption. But maybe if I speak with anyone who's willing, I can get some ideas for what to say in those captions, or aspects of it that you want me to promote, particularly, or successes from the past, how this ordinance would change things and improve things.
I know nothing about Instagram except that I get things from a niece and nephew, and it always seems like it's a picture with one sentence, and I don't know how I could contribute to an Instagram.
Right.
'Cause
Music
it's-
on it.
Hmm?
Put some music on it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, along the lines of what you were saying before about houses we've lost in recent years, it could be just one example of that, and how this ordinance would prevent that in the future.
Yeah, I'm kind
I
of trying
could write
to
it.
avoid the negative part. I'm thinking that's not a good idea to put,
Sure.
this is what we've lost, because
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that.
What about something like the church condominiums? I mean, that's a way that building got saved.
Or the school, Elm Street School.
Oh, yeah. Elm Street School.
building.
Oh, even the new Bay Chamber building, these are kind of like adaptive reuse, so that you don't have to tear it down. You can find a way to use it.
Mhm. Okay, well, let me think about it.
Okay. And would you mind if I just give you a quick call maybe, and got some ideas from each of you, or
Sure.
quotes to use in the captions? Because I could write the captions, but just if I could get ideas from you, like the architect's point of view of
Okay.
what you would highlight.
Mhm.
May I just,
Be a long phone call.
Chris Frieden asked if Chris, is the audio working? Can you hear us? Is there any? Okay, thank you. That was the question. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's, I was done.
So, Chris, Drew Himmelstein is the new editor of the Mid-Coast Villager. Christine Simmons is the managing editor. Don't assume that just because you want to have a weekly column that you'll get it. I think you need to line it up ahead of time. I would assume that one column, certainly, but more than that, it's up to them. It's not up to you whether that goes in the paper or not.
There's also letters to the editor.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought Chris Frieden had made contact with one of the reporters who was willing to take it on. So maybe that will help. Yeah. I can send you an email, Brian, and be happy to meet with you and maybe hammer out a little better approach than what we can accomplish right here.
Okay. that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. We don't have Danny with us today, so Chris, did you finish that book?
I finished it and brought it to Brian. And,
Okay.
And that is available on,
Yeah.
what's it?
Amazon? No?
Well, through Amazon. What's the
Kindle?
radio? Kindle.
Oh, okay.
Kindle, whatever it is that you get free books or dollar books or all that.
Ebooks.
But it's available on Kindle Unlimited or something like that for $45. But if you do, it's on Kindle for $45, but you can get it for $1.50 if you have Kindle Unlimited or.
Oh,
something
I
like
see. Yeah.
Yeah, so Rhonda, Chris, and I have all read it now, and I contacted Danny. He said he has several copies, so
Okay.
he doesn't need it, for at least until the next month's meeting. So I brought it with me today if anyone else wants to borrow it, take a look at it.
Ken or Roger or Pat, did you want to have a look at it?
That book's is an
Yeah,
important book.
that's next on my reading list.
I have 2 copies of that maybe.
What is that book?
The Economics of Historic Preservation, and I just reminded myself with a text message to read it and then return it to either to Chris or to Jeremy. I think it's Jeremy's copy.
Okay.
How old is that, Ken?
Renee, did you get that? He can hear us on YouTube, but not Zoom. Okay. Okay, so are you done with that or you
No,
still looking at it?
I-
Okay.
Thank you, but not yet.
Okay, next item is archives and history, and I have nothing to report. I've been distracted this month.
Something goes to Jeremy.
What's that?
Chris says it goes to Jeremy.
Oh, that book goes to Jeremy.
This one?
No,
Oh.
the economics one.
He's saying yes. I'm just keeping track of him.
Anything more to add on social media, Brian?
Well, just that I totally understand if any of you are not interested in, engaging with Facebook and Instagram. There are plenty of good reasons not to do that. But if you use those platforms, if you could, share any posts, and you can share our Instagram page with your friends. There's a button that you can use
Okay.
to do that with Facebook and Instagram. And it's a quick way to pick up more followers. And that's the way it's seen in people's feeds, because if people aren't liking posts, if there aren't many people following the site, it won't even appear in anyone's feed. No one will see it. So it's that's the idea, is you kind of try to spread the word.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not a big user of Facebook. I mean, I have an account, and I never post anything.
Right.
I'm a Facebook voyeur. I just, I look at everybody else's posts, relatives and stuff. So do I would just target selected friends that I have?
You can like invite friends to share. You can just like automatically invite all your Facebook friends, or you can select. You'll see a whole list of them when you hit that share button,
Okay,
and then it'll tell you which ones you can click on.
okay,
Specifically invite some and not others.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't use it that much either, and
Yeah.
it's easy to read others, but I think it could help get the word out about what we're doing.
all right, I will give it a try.
Okay.
There's some fun preservation groups on there. I'm in the old buildings and industrial buildings and things like that.
You
And
know-
you can get it, there's a lot of English ones, British ones that get pretty deep into restoring old English houses by English rules.
Yeah. That,
If anyone has recommendations about other sites that we can follow, let me know too. Because I followed groups like Historic New England, and other towns that have done an HPO, like York, and
Yeah.
that will give us tips on how to do this too.
okay. I do get the preservation newsletter, but I haven't noticed any unsolicited preservation information coming to me on Facebook, but I have to figure that out.
You follow the committee page yet?
I think I do. Like, I think the Jane's Walk thing also linked me up with them, but I don't see a whole lot coming my way. Now, I'll have to make sure I'm listed. Pat, were you going to talk about Curtis Island?
Mike said, just to let you know that we are activating volunteers. A week ago, last Friday, we had a volunteer day and we had about 10 volunteers out there and got a tremendous amount of work done. There's another one coming up, but we're using the list of people who signed up at the last voting for volunteers. Lots of talent there. And then this is the latest Island Lighthouse Journal. They're trying to put out one every month. And although there's not a lot of details about what the plan is, if you're interested, the detailed plan is available. Jeremy told Mike yesterday that if he sent the detailed plan to Jeremy, he would make sure that the select board received it from him, I guess. He didn't want Mike to send it to the select board. It wasn't the correct way. But there's a very detailed, like, I don't know how many pages, 50-page report, big pages. If anybody wants that, it can be sent to you. This is just a little bit of what they're planning on the back of this, but.
I did look at the website the other day and
Oh, it's on the
noticed
website.
that you can look at that report on the website.
You can look at the complete report on the
Yeah.
Curtis Island website. It's curtisisland.org,
I think you have it here. Yeah, curtisisland.org.
curtisisland.org. It's on the newsletter that you just got. That's all.
Yeah. And I also noticed that you can volunteer.
Yes.
Yeah, on the website.
You can
So
volunteer.
When you say you send out a call for volunteers, how does that happen?
Well, sometimes you don't want too many out there because trees were coming down last time. The big birch clump of about 5 trees, and you don't need a lot of people in the
Right,
area.
right.
So, Mike, we've been calling people to.
Okay. So you have a group that you go to.
Yep. And like this next time, they need carpenters, people who have carpentry skills to put the shingles and the boards back on that they took off so they could look inside the building. Now we need people who can put that stuff back together. So it's kind of specific, whatever the job is, who we call. So
I think that Mike had mentioned to me that if you sign up to volunteer on the website, that he was planning on putting out a call to people for specific jobs. And
Right.
then the first ones to sign up would be the ones to go. Because again, I don't think they wanted
Yep.
a lot of people.
Yep. That's what he's
Yeah.
planning to do. Is saying we need 10 volunteers for Saturday, and the first 10 people who
Yeah.
sign up get to
Yeah.
go out. And we do have the boat now, a little boat with a motor to get people out that belongs to the foundation. So you don't have to get yourself out there.
All right. The National Natural Landmark that Will was supposed to be looking into, I haven't heard anything about.
Got married last week.
He got married last week.
That's what he said.
Well, is that supposed to interfere with committee business? Come on. Okay, new and future business. What's listed here is Elm Street Historic District and bylaws and officers. Pat, do you have something on that? No? Okay, maybe that was Chris's information.
Looks like he's typing.
We did talk briefly last time about bylaws and how we need them, but I haven't heard.
Table Elm Street until after November.
Okay, okay. And as well as bylaws and officers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Do we have anything else that we need to talk about? We went through that list pretty well.
Next meeting might be a long one if we have maybe 2.
That's the
demo
October
reviews.
8th, is it?
Number 8.
Yeah. Right, right.
It doesn't look very complicated, the one they sent the pictures of.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked.
What was that, Chris? What did you have for the next meeting? What did you have in mind for the next meeting? I couldn't hear what you referred to.
What time?
But, well, no, the October 8th meeting. Ken wants to know what the October 8th meeting is, why it's going to be a long one.
Because of the demo review things that have been, meetings
Oh,
that
the
have been
reviews for the
scheduled
demolition
our
ordinance.
meeting.
People who've submitted reviews for the
Right.
demolition ordinance. Okay.
They
Did you
wanna
know there
do
was-
it on the 8th. or
Did you
what.
know there was a demolition review coming up?
No.
No. The house on High Street, just past my street, the big one on the left before you got to the Whitehall with the barn, the long attachment in the barn. They want to remove the center section between the house and the barn.
Oh.
And you should have, I got a notice because I'm in a butter to the property, but the Historic Resources Committee is supposed to hear that on October 8th.
Well, Shenley sent a note to all of us that was going to happen on October 8th, but I don't think we ever see anything ahead of time, right? That
Oh,
they-
well, I got the plans
You
and
didn't get the
everything as an
I
abutter.
don't have a packet, no. Should I have gone and picked one up here?
No. It got sent along from Shenley.
Oh,
I didn't get mine from Shenley. I got
All
mine
right.
from
Glad to see
the,
it in advance.
well, that's what I thought, that
I
we
didn't get minutes.
couldn't see
either.
it in advance.
you can see it in advance.
Oh, Chris just said we can't.
You cannot talk about it amongst yourself
Yeah,
in
we can't have a
advance,
meeting.
but
Oh,
you can
right.
look at the plans. You
right.
have to know what it is they're asking you to do.
Yes.
But
Okay.
anyway, it's interesting that they were, well, I'm not going to comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask what your position is on that since
As an
you're
abutter?
listed as an abutter.
I can't, I'm not supposed to talk about it.
You know what the other one is?
That's to being determined.
So there's two?
That's what I thought you said. There's two, right?
Two, but I don't know if the second one's been finalized
Yeah.
from the last. For your agenda, attached is an agenda item requesting a partial demolition permit for a contributing structure at 42 High Street, located in our High Street Historic District Overlay Zone. Your meeting is set to occur at your regular daytime of October 8th at 11 a.m. in the French room. Janice has the room available and will be set up to accommodate a few people via Zoom if need be. I believe a couple of the applicants, landowners, will be participating via Zoom, and a representative will be attending in person to answer questions and provide an additional information. I've included Janice in this email to keep her in the loop. I am not sure how you all handle posting agendas, supporting documents. I don't get the actual, whatever it is, Adobe thing on my,
So Chris, who did that come from?
Hmm?
From whom did that come?
this is from Shenley. And I think what this was just to Chris. And it might have gotten to me because I'm also a Chris or something like that. But anyway, but the packet was there and it's really quite complete. And if you don't mind making sure the attached reaches your HRC members so they can have it before the meeting, I would really appreciate it if we have ascertained that you will have a quorum, either by Zoom or in person. And thank you for assistance and everything. Appreciate, because we had gotten a lot of emails about
Right, whether we were going to be
whether we're
here.
available for
Yes,
the
right.
meeting.
Is this section part of the original structure?
I
That's-
don't know. They didn't give the history of it. We, just looking at it, it looks like maybe originally it was the house and the barn, and then the connector was built. There's no foundation
Yeah.
under the connector.
All right,
But I
I don't think
don't
we're supposed to
know.
talk about it.
So it's not heated space.
Yeah, I was.
Not heated.
Did
I was
every,
hoping that you were going to have the information on whether that's.
No,
when-
but I'm
when
going to
that
look
came
into it.
along in the-
did everybody get a packet then mailed to you? No, only you, Chris? You got one mailed to you?
I
Yes,
said I wasn't going to be at the October 8th meeting, so that's why I
Okay.
probably didn't get it.
Okay.
you just go next door and ask Shenley to.
Okay, we're at the end of the list. Is anyone have anything else they want to talk about?
I've had 2 requests for plaques recently on Bayview Street, both of them, 195 Bayview, the other 109 Bayview, and they're both doing their house research right now.
Okay,
So that's good.
Right
okay.
next to Will down in there and that.
No, I don't know if it's next to Will or not. One of them was an artist studio, a woman's, she had on her garage, she had her name, I can't think of the name. Norton. So I guess
Oh, okay.
it's
I know that
descendants
place.
of Norton have applied for a plaque. And the other one are the new owners at 95 Bayview. Has a big porch out front. It's 4 houses up from Lime Rock on the right-hand side of Bayview. I think 4.
Is that the one they recently did a lot of work to, like in the last 2 years? They've renovated?
Yeah, but there was another one right next door to it that did a lot of renovation.
Okay,
And there are
okay.
3 in a row that have done a lot of
Yeah.
renovations.
So do they request plaques unsolicited? I mean, they just,
Yeah,
okay. How do they
the-
know they can get them?
the town office, or they saw a brochure.
Okay, good.
So the committee will have to, we used to have Chris, we had a review committee. And then we would look at what they presented for history and how much it had changed, and then made a decision. So as soon as the formal background information is together, the committee will have to look at it and see what they think. And also, it depends upon which plaque they ask for. If they ask for the basic plaque, we're a little more lenient. But if they ask for the Camden landmark plaque, then the standards are a little different. So, but I don't know which ones they're planning on yet.
Well, a landmark has a particular requirement
Yes.
that has to be of some historic significance, right?
Right, and it can't have changed dramatically in the overall outlook. Sometimes a porch has been added, and sometimes that's okay if there was an original porch. But
It's been added, it's better than if it got removed,
yes,
because you can always remove it later on.
the committee kind of weighs the pros and cons of porches and changes, and anyway, that's all.
Okay, well, I actually have to
Somebody would like to
leave.
take over the plaque program, they're welcome to do it too. Be glad to pass it on.
So I guess the takeaway for this meeting is we're going to suggest areas of historic preservation you'd like to say a few words about, or something you might know about that we can publish or use to educate people. And then we'll do that in the next week, I hope, so that we can get going on something. And I'll text or email you and we'll get together.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so if you could just send it to the committee, then we can all have a look at it.
So I'm almost ready to write about the Bram Hall School. Do you think an article just of general interest of the Bram Hall School that used to be on Atlantic Avenue and the history of it and what happened to it? I mean, is that of any use toward the ordinance or not? Should I
Well, it doesn't exist anymore.
say
It doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't exist anymore. It's where the park is now,
Yeah.
Arbor Park.
It's probably not,
Whereas-
it's probably not pertinent to the upcoming vote.
Right.
Inter-
But it's always, at least it's putting something out that's,
That's history oriented. Well, maybe we save that till after the election.
okay. Stay more focused on the
Yeah.
election.
Maybe it could be part of an ongoing series on hyperlocal history.
Yeah, I was thinking of the media pages, the Facebook and Instagram had a little side panel of little history anecdotes, and you do have your schools thing in there, some pictures. And
Yeah, an ongoing would probably be a good thing. Once a month or something.
Well, I'm going to have to run, so if you don't have anything else, maybe we'll just
move to
adjourn.
adjourn.
What's that?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh, he says Mondays
Sec-
at 4 are available. Do we want that time slot?
What did it say?
Sundays at 4. Do we want that time slot? I can't think of any reason not to.
No.
Okay, do I get a second?
Can I second as a volunteer, as a alternate?
Sure.
alternate? Yeah, okay. I second.
All right, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rhonda.
And you're gonna let him know about the Mondays at 4? He's all right.